All right, how are you? How are you? Just wanted to check in again. Hope you're doing good. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the book that I'm putting together. As you can see, I pulled some of my digital media stuff around here, made a temporary little studio setup, I guess. So you will, I guess you already know that I do a lot of photography, mainly when I travel. People ask me, what kind of photography do you do? I always say travel photography at this point in time. Whenever I go somewhere, that is sort of part of my experience. I don't really call it a vacation because I'm carrying around a full camera kit, a couple cameras, a couple lenses, tripods, some flash setups in case I ever need them. Lots of batteries, cards, the memory cards, lots of those kinds of things to try and be able to get the best photos that really capture the essence and the spirit of what I am seeing. And it's funny, I think some people would criticize and they would say, well, your photos, they look like stock photos. And I take that as a compliment because stock photos are really done by professional photographers. So if I created a photo of Machu Picchu that looks like a stock photo of Machu Picchu, then I know I have captured Machu Picchu the way that it should look and feel, and I've done that at a professional level as well. But there are some photos in here that are, I think, a little bit more on that creative artistic side as well. But I put it into the category of contemporary art. A lot of people don't really recognize that as a genre and a space, but I can assure you that contemporary art is really relevant today. So about the book, I think I'm going to change the title to Watching the World. If you remember when I was on social media before, posting a lot, I started doing the hashtag Watching the World. I think we're all seeing what's going on. Some of us don't want to talk a lot about it, and that's okay. But I think a lot of people are paying attention to what's going on in the world. So my change is to Watching the World because, as you know, I was able to make it to all of the 7 continents, and it's still a little bit mind-blowing to me because I wasn't a person growing up who was thinking, I'm going to set out and make it to all the continents. I wasn't even a person who said I'm going to make it to all 50 states. I thought that'd be something that'd be interesting and cool. But it really wasn't until I got a little older and we grew up in Texas, so got to Mexico a few times, and then started traveling to Europe as some people do for vacations. I actually, my dad was military, so when I was really young, I lived in Germany. And then you made it to the Caribbean, made it to Central America, but in that was just 2 continents. And so I started thinking to myself, let's expand this. Let's go see the rest of the world. Africa was the first place that I wanted to get to that was kind of outside of that little narrow field that I had previously been in. So obviously I went to Africa to connect with my cultural lineage, and I was blown away, not disappointed. Still to this day, it is one of the destinations that I'd recommend. One of my favorite destinations. I don't like to play favorites, but it really was. I did a safari in Kenya, Africa, and I'll always remember being able to kneel down and make fire with villagers in the Masai Mara, the way that I always say, the way it's been done for centuries. So that stands out. And so when we got back home, DC, some friends were living in the Philippines, and they said, next time you travel, come visit us. That's Southeast Asia. So I traveled through Bangkok, the Philippines, and a little bit of Cambodia. And so it was amazing for me. Angkor Wat, Cambodia, an ancient civilization that has been lost and then refound. And then also Bangkok, seeing all the Buddhist temples there. Amazing. So when I got back, then we decided that's when I knew that it was possible to get to all the continents. Had been to 4 of them at that point in time. Although at that point you kind of get the sense that the other continents are far away. But in deciding where to go in South America, we decided to go to the Amazon River, Machu Picchu, and also Cusco. And so those were amazing places. Machu Picchu, still to this day, makes you wonder how these ancient civilizations were able to build these structures. Machu Picchu up is the top of a mountain. And then the Amazon River, it has a reputation and it doesn't disappoint. It is an ecological wonder, but also just the mystique of the river itself. So we did get to fish for piranha in the Amazon, and that still blows me away. I always say that's one of the things that I will never forget, and I talk about this. It is an experience that is sort of surreal, and no matter where you go, it's like there you are, basically. So it could have been fishing, I would say, on the Chesapeake Bay, but no, you're 3,500 miles away in the Amazon River fishing for piranha, literally piranha. So after that, we were able to go to Australia and New Zealand, and the landscapes there were amazing as well. Some of the Lord of the Rings movies are filmed in New Zealand, and there's an interesting story. When Peter Jackson was looking for a location, they kind of had some things set up, and then they were doing helicopter flyovers looking at the last minute. They found this farm, and they said, hold up, change everything. This is literally the most beautiful place we've ever seen. We have to use this for the movie. So they brought in some people to negotiate with the farmers, didn't tell the farmers what movie it was going to be, just that we're going to use your farm. And then lo and behold, farmers' lives were changed once they actually signed on and found out that they're going to be filming Lord of the Rings movies on their farm. And so they did leave the movie set there, and it's like a Universal Studios tour, which is a little different, but it's the actual location where they filmed some of the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings type movies, and you can go inside, duck your head in some of the little like huts and houses. But in that, I was able to capture, if you're a photographer, one of my favorite photos. It's these rolling hills. The sun was setting, and it just really, to me, exemplifies the green rolling hills of New Zealand. There's that. So after coming back from New Zealand, Antarctica was the only place left on the list. Seemed daunting. But I said, give myself a couple of years, build up to it, and just sort of make the trip and finish out all the continents. So I was aware in December that COVID-19 was starting to affect travel, and that is when I was planning on going to Antarctica. And when you're planning these types of things, you're thinking about it for a few years, and then the window of opportunity opens up. COVID-19 was starting to slow down travel, but I said, I'm going to go anyway. And so I squeezed in, as we were there, we were getting some, news about what was going on. Luckily for me and my group, we were able to get home, all of us, before the real travel shutdowns happened. But shortly thereafter, there were people who were on cruises trying to get to Antarctica, and Antarctica is no longer letting people get or go to the continent. So they were turned away, and some people were even trapped because Chile and Argentina didn't want them to deboard their ship because of COVID-19 concerns. That being said, when we were in Antarctica, I have to say it was truly an amazing place. There were some places that the water was so blue, the sky was so blue, the water was so pure and clear. and then you have the snow that is just, you can just tell it's untouched really by man. And so you got another sense of just being in kind of a surreal place. It's almost so vivid that it was not real. And some, physicists talk about this ether, that we live in, and that almost became a place where you thought that you were at the edge of the earth. And I can tell that's where some people, maybe explorers, began to think that there was an end to the earth, because if you get to Antarctica, you'll certainly be in some spaces wide open, and it just will not make sense to you. And in that, it was very beautiful, amazing, and I know there are a lot of concerns about Antarctica right now with global warming, with the glaciers that are calving and rising sea levels and those kinds of things. So there was this sort of juxtaposition, duality of being in a very wonderful place, but also having to understand that it's a threatened glacier. So in that, I came back and I was inspired to put a compilation together of all of the photos that were sort of my favorites that stand out. Most of them, if you followed my Facebook feed, you've seen already. And there are photos that I'm very familiar with, and when I look back through this, maybe it's more personal to me, but I do want to share it with you, and also give you the opportunity to get one. Literally, if you do buy one, this will help me to continue the work that I do, not only in creating art, but also helping to kind of keep people informed about what I see in the world. So if that makes sense to people, I might change the name of this to Watching the World. But anyway, I hope you are interested in this and want to grab one, pick one up, just message me and let me know, and we will keep going from there. Hopefully the next time I go somewhere, I'll be able to bring back something amazing and share it with you. So take care and be well.